What's happening, faithful? I'm Lawrence. Welcome to Platform 246. Thank you so much for stepping up. We had an amazing, outstanding season. It didn't end the way that we wanted it to. But I want to thank each and every player, coach, team personnel person, ownership, goddamn gardeners, anyone that has anything to do with the season that you gave me. Thank you and salute to you. Today I want to talk about the top 5 moments of this season. The 5 biggest stories that made up the Niner Empire, the faithful, and where we ended up last Sunday. I don't want to waste any time. Let's get right into it. Week 2 of the season. Trey Lance snaps his twig. Trey Lance gets hurt. Number 1. Leaves his ankle on the 25-yard line. Now, there's been a lot of talk about whose fault it was. Was it Trey's fault for not giving the ball to Debo? Was it Cal's fault for calling quarterback power or read option as opposed to letting that young man throw the ball? But who cares whose fault it was? It happened. And football is not only a contact sport, it's an injury sport. That's a fact. So Trey Lance, when that happened, honestly, my heart broke. I thought the season was done. Until, of course, the number 2 story in order of this season. James Garoppolo steps back onto the field for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, as he and, of course, Kyle Juszczyk smiled and spoke about how Niner football was back, he came right into that game against the Shithawks and led us down to not only score, but to win the game. And in impressive fashion as well. The team rallied around him, and James literally played like Willie Beeman. He played the best football of his career. Now, did it end up with a championship? Was he able to get it rolling all year long? We'll see. But before that happens, CMC comes to us on a Thursday right before the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. We are looking to get outside of 500. Chiefs are coming, and John and Kyle make a blockbuster move and bring in Christian McCaffrey for the number 3 story of the season. Now, Christian came in, blessed us all year with touchdowns, running, throwing, and catching. He's a triple threat. But it didn't, of course, lead to a Super Bowl. We know who's playing in that game this week. What it did lead to was a lot of fervor and a lot of optimism for all of us faithful. It led to us dreaming about what could happen when Trey Lance possibly gets to drive the CMC train. And we'll get a chance to see that this coming off season. And in receiving that Christian blessing, our number 2 moment of the year, we rolled right into our number 3 biggest story of the season. James Richard Garoppolo, unfortunately, gets hurt after, of course, playing his best football, playing like Willie Beeman all year long. Well, what happens? Kyle, with more questionable calls, somehow James ends up outside the pocket and people falling on his ankle. And now both Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo have ankle injuries and are out. At that point, you and I both thought we were fucked. But then we roll into 12 straight wins overall. And why? Due to our number 4 biggest story of the season, Brock the Glock BCB Purdy. We will unretire the nickname for this video. Brock Purdy comes out of nowhere, Mr. Irrelevant, number 262 himself, and sets the league on fire. There were so many memes, so many comparisons to Brock Lesnar. The man got an introduction from Paul Heyman himself. I mean, what more could he ask for? He had to be living the dream. Until we get to the NFC Championship game. he's about to bust one on himself. But what happens? The Philadelphia Eagles do what they do, get after quarterbacks, and push his arm back. Thankfully, it wasn't his wig. Brock Purdy gets injured in the NFC Championship game, our fifth and quite possibly biggest story of the season. All of our quarterbacks are out. And then for an extra added cherry on top, the backup's backup, named Josh Johnson, gets injured in that very same game. Christian McCaffrey threw a football pass, called a play, and got the ball out into left field. You see what I did there? Christian McCaffrey threw the ball into left field. So it didn't work out. We ended up running throughout the rest of the second half of the NFC Championship game due to Brock Purdy's arm basically hanging off his back. And there you have it. Our season ends. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on the year? Which one of those moments was the biggest one to you? And do you maybe have a moment that I missed that you think was just as important to the fact that all of us are trying to figure out whether or not we're going to watch this goddamn game Sunday? Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the video. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all be safe. Niner Ganger don't bang.